What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Uptempo Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Lane, here tonight with my boy DG, the co-host of the Uptempo Podcast, and we are here to bring you a nice little episode. Some big things jumping off in the NFL. You had the Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and then you had Carson Wentz getting traded out down there to Washington, going down there to the Commanders. We're going to talk a little bit about the QB situation there. Going to talk about where they might go in the draft now. I know a lot of people were thinking that they might go quarterback, like me and DG were just discussing. And then we're going to talk about the big Russell Wilson trade and who won that trade, because I know a lot of people right now with all the draft picks and everything that got sent over to Seattle. Some people might think that the Seahawks won that trade. I know Russ is getting up there and he's played a lot of football, but that Denver offense is going to look pretty deadly, it looks like on paper. And then, we're going to talk a little bit about bellarmine. They win the ASUN tournament, can't go to the NCAA tournament because it's only been like 1 or 2 years in Division I, and you got to have 4 years under your belt to go to the tournament. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And to round it out, we're going to talk about the players and the big golf tournament coming up this weekend. Who's hot right now? Who is DG's pick to win it? And who is his sleeper pick who is not getting that much attention? So it's going to be a heck of an episode, I think. And I'm really glad to have DG back on here. And DG, we got to keep this one under an hour and a half. I got to go over to Rave on Sports app and host the Vanderbilt and Georgia game in the SEC tournament night. So if anybody is interested in that, we are going to be doing that, like we mentioned on the last one, pretty regularly coming up in football season, right here at the end of basketball. So it's going to be a big deal. But DG, man, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Just kind of chilling. Didn't have baseball practice today because of the weather, so got home a little bit earlier than normal. So just kind of hanging out, man. Getting ready. We got a game tomorrow, so just kind of enjoying my night off, really.
I heard that, man. The weather's been absolutely crazy. Just they're saying that it's going to flood, then it doesn't flood. I saw a couple of your Facebook posts like, "Hey, we're playing." No, we're not playing.
Yeah.
It's been crazy this week. But man, hopping into what we are going to talk about tonight. The first thing I want to talk about is we watched the bellarmine situation the other night. It unfolded. They won the ASUN tournament. Everybody just shocked the world, man. And then not allowed to go to the big dance. And I want to get your opinion on that. And what do you feel about the NCAA and that rule? Does it need to change? Did bellarmine lay the concrete to get that rule changed? And just how big of a moment for bellarmine was that? Because, I mean, only being in Division I for, what, a year, 2 years?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be groundbreaking stuff for that program. So what are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, man. I think you kind of look at it two ways. For one, I don't really understand if they're not eligible to play in March Madness and not eligible to make a run in the tournament. Why even let them play in the conference tournament? Even if they are one of the better teams in the conference, to me that's pointless because obviously even if they're not the pick to win the tournament, maybe they're the 4 or 5 seed. Like we know enough about college basketball now by now that it don't matter. As long as you made a tournament, you got a chance of winning it. So putting them in and then obviously them going and making a run and winning it. I'm not even sure what seed they were. I think they were like the 4th seed. Beating Jacksonville, who's a 2 seed in the conference. I think I like the rule. I mean, I think it's right. I don't think a team should be able to just automatically just straight turn into D1 and then all of a sudden be able to go play in their tournaments. But if you're not going to allow them to play in the March Madness tournaments or like any other postseason tournament, just don't allow them to even play in the conference tournament because, you get these kids' hopes up. These kids just win a championship. Now they gotta. They've probably watched this on TV their whole life. Oh, you win your conference tournament no matter what conference we're in. You win your conference tournament, automatic bid to the big dance. And now these guys win their conference tournament, and now they don't even get a chance to play in the big dance. Now you got Jacksonville, who lost the game, who's now getting to go play in the big dance. And it's like, what what's the point of conference tournament if they don't even win their tournament? They can still get in. So
Yeah, man, that's honestly how I feel about it is, and I saw Doug Gottlieb on Twitter. He said the same thing as you just said. He was like, "Hey, if you're going to let them play in the conference tournament, then you got to let them play in the NCAA tournament because it's not right. You're giving them false hope, and you also let a team like you just said, Jacksonville, they get to the tournament final." And Jacksonville State, who ultimately got the bid, they didn't even make it to the tournament final, and they're the ones getting to go. So because they were the best regular season team all year, so you gotta fix it, man. Like if you're gonna have this 4-year postseason ban because you jump from 1AA to 1A,
yeah,
don't even let them play in the conference tournament. I mean, don't give somebody false hope.
yeah, for
That was
sure.
my big deal about it. It was a huge deal to me. I mean, because I think they should go dancing. Honestly, I mean, you know, I think that rule's kind of got to change, man. Especially in basketball. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I just, I don't know. I mean, they were just. I mean, if you watch the game, man, they're legitimate enough to get into the NCAA tournament and play tight with somebody. I'm not saying that they're going to go in there and get an upset, but they could make a game of something. I mean, their guards could play, man.
Yeah,
And I know one of their guards, he was like I think he was like an ASUN on one of the ASUN regular season teams or something like first team, second team, something like that. I mean, so they got talent. So, my thing with it is if you're going to put them in the conference tournament, then they should have the right to go to the NCAA tournament. And I think the NCAA's got to change that rule because I don't like it. And if you don't change it, then don't allow somebody to play in the conference tournament. Their
yeah,
season ends, and then you can give them an invite to the NIT or whatever the other one is. I think it's like the CBB or whatever, you know.
yeah,
Uh, but I mean, that's how I feel about it, and I feel like you feel the same way, man. It's just ultimately a tough break, but that program with so many highs just off of that, man. I mean, I feel like it's kind of groundbreaking,
yeah, for sure.
Like
But yeah. Like I mean, like you said, like now going into next year, that team might be like the favorite to win the tournament. But are they still going to be? Is that rule going to
yeah,
change from now until next year? Or I mean, like obviously I don't keep up with Bellarmine or whatever, but you know, if they got guys returning that are some of their starting players, like what if they come back next year and they're just as good and they win the conference again? Does that mean, hey, you did it twice, you're still ineligible? Sorry, like so
exactly,
But
exactly.
it's like you said, could they be the reason that rule finally gets changed, or is it just going to be a rule that stays the same forever? And they just say, sorry, here's you were good these 3 years, and now as soon as you're eligible for the postseason, sorry, all your good players are gone, you suck again. Like,
Yeah, that's my thing though, DG. That's my thing is what if they come back next year and then they do it again?
yeah,
They win it again, and then you say, "Oh, well, we're back. We're back to square one where we started. You can't go to the NCAA. You can't go to the NCAA tournament. Hate it for you.
yeah,
I think it's got to change, man.
for sure.
But I just wanted to hit on that a little bit because it kind of irritated me, and I didn't want to spend too much time on it. Just wanted to cover it and get your opinion on it. And it's the NCAA strikes again, and with me being an Auburn fan, it struck us a couple of times over the past couple of years, and I'm not a huge fan of the NCAA. But moving on to the professional game, man, and I really want to talk about everything that's went down in the NFL. Had a couple people text me about it. And the first thing I want to talk about is probably the biggest thing that has happened is the Aaron Rodgers contract. Is it a contract? Is it not a contract? What's going on? We're hearing Pat McAfee saying, "Oh, pump the brakes now. There is no contract." I think you're seeing Ian Rappaport. He's saying there is a contract. So, first off, I want to ask you, DG, is how big is this for the Packers to re-sign Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, I mean, it's huge. I mean, they're automatically the best team in the NFC again. I mean, like you going into the season, like they got to be your preseason pick to win the NFC. I mean, looking at the NFC quarterbacks are just trash. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, maybe if you want to say Matthew Stafford, and then Kyler Murray and Jimmy G. I mean, that's your top 4 quarterbacks in the NFC right now. I mean, the NFC is just washed as far as his quarterbacks. I mean, because if you look at just the division in general, NFC South, you got whoever the heck the Saints end up playing. I mean, right now I think it's Taysom Hill or maybe Ian Book. You got the Panthers are going to be rolling out with Sam Darnold or maybe a first-round draft pick. The Falcons, I mean, I guess you should say Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan is just about as terrible as the rest of them.
Yeah, he's on the down slope.
I mean, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might have the next GOAT down there with Killer Kyle Trask.
Yeah, stud.
I mean, I guess I tell you about. You know, I feel bad for forgetting Dallas. Dak Prescott. I guess you could say he should be in that top echelon of NFC quarterbacks. But I mean, Jalen Hurts severely overrated. Daniel Jones terrible. Carson Wentz not good. Taylor Heineke average. I mean, like, and then you go out to the NFC West. Yeah, you got Stafford returning. You know, Super Bowl champions. Kyler Murray good for about 7-8 games, and then he goes down the drain. Jimmy G, he don't even know if he's going to be the quarterback next year in San Francisco. They might be rolling with Trey Lance. And now we got Dance on the sideline, got a little swag in his step, Drew Lock in Seattle.
Oh, Drew. I heard the Saints could be going after Jimmy G.
I don't know if the Saints can afford Jimmy G. That's the problem.
I know. Their cap space is all messed up.
So, yeah, I mean, but as far as answering your question, like, how big of the deal is this for the Packers? I mean, like, if you're the Packers, I mean, you just went 13-3. Yes, you choked in the playoffs, but I mean, you're going into next season saying, "Man, we win 11, 12 games, we probably are going to be the number 1 seed again." I mean, and if Packers fans got to be thrilled because if any, I mean, I'm a Packers fan, so I keep up with the Packers pretty well, and I know that 1 week I think Rodgers had COVID or whatever they were calling it that he had. Of course, it's the biggest game of the season. We play the Chiefs, and we got freaking. Jordan Love comes in, and I mean, he might have completed 15 passes. Then we got beat like 16-9. It was maybe the worst game Patrick Mahomes played all season. Of course, Jordan Love's the quarterback for the Packers that day. So if you're a Packers fan, you're thrilled because I mean, I think we were looking at a top 5 pick next year if Jordan Love's starting quarterback.
Bro, how bad was that Jordan Love pick? Because I feel like if they don't pick Jordan Love with that draft pick, and they go defense like secondary, which they absolutely needed, in my opinion. Were the Packers looking at a Super Bowl? Because it was a wash pick.
What year was that? 2 years ago? So 2020 draft?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you go defense. I think the Packers secondary. I mean, Packers secondary is definitely not elite, but it's not bad. I mean, Jair Alexander, when healthy, is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. This year they had some really good pick. I mean, they had some really good players end up stepping up that nobody really ever heard of. But I mean, if you're the Packers, let's see, that year you draft Jordan Love 26th. Let's see who some got. T. Higgins is the first pick of the second round that year.
Oh wow, yeah.
Let's say the Packers take T. Higgins 26th overall instead of Jordan Love. So now you have T. Higgins, who just put up over 1,200 yards with the Bengals. You have T. Higgins. You already have the best receiver in the NFL with Devontae Adams. And you have 2 elite running backs. I remember when the Packers drafted Jordan Love, and then they went and got A.J. Dillon. It was kind of like, man, what in the world are we drafting A.J. Dillon for? But then they got rid of Jamal Williams. They didn't sign Jamal Williams back, and now A.J. Dillon's a workhorse. So, it's crazy to think, like, if you just look back at that one draft, like, and what was wild was, man, not only did they draft Jordan Love, they traded up to draft Jordan Love. Like, it wasn't like they were sitting there at 30 and was like, oh, well, all the big wide receivers are gone. Let's get a quarterback for the future, and he can sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a few years. Man, when that pick was made, Aaron Rodgers was 35 years old. They had to think he was at least going to play for 6-7 more years. Like, what are you going to do? Sit a guy on the bench for 7 more years? Like, obviously, Brett Favre was with the Packers when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers sat behind him for 2 years. He learned the system, and he's been a quarterback ever since. There's no way they were expecting Jordan Love to come in as a 21-year-old, chill on the bench until he was 29, and then he start playing. Like, I don't know. Looking back at the pick, it was it's even more questionable now. I think looking back at it now that they do have Rodgers for however much longer they got him, and they decided to take a project quarterback. Yes, maybe he had a first round grade or whatever, but the dude played at Utah State, man. Like, who did he play against? Like, it's rare that we see these guys go from these small schools and just be superstars. Okay, sure. Josh Allen came from Wyoming and he's a stud. But for the most part, the ones who come from these small schools, they might last 1 or 2 years and they kind of fizzle out. Carson Wentz being a perfect example.
Yeah, who was just traded to the Washington, whatever you want to call them, Commanders football team, whatever. I mean, they have so many names.
I don't. They don't even know their name.
Yeah, I don't even try to keep up with them, honestly. But what do you think about Carson Wentz, man? Going down there to Washington and now that QB situation. What do you feel about that?
I mean, now they got maybe the second best quarterback in the NFC East. I mean, Carson Wentz I think is good when he's healthy, but last year he had a decent season, but he also had an MVP candidate running back behind him. Next year with the Washington Commanders, I'll be real honest with you, man. I couldn't name two people in their offense outside of Carson Wentz and I don't know.
Terry.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. But that's about
it.
Now, granted, their defense is elite, but you got to be able to score to be an elite defense. So like, you can't win. You're not going to win a lot of football games 3-0. So I mean, I don't think it's a great trade, but I mean, if you're the Colts, I mean, I think you're kind of pumped because I mean, if you're the Colts, hey, you know what? Let's ride with whoever the heck our backup is. Let's just suck this year. Let's tank for a little QB, and let's go get either Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud next year, and you just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. You can't go wrong there with them two. I tell you that. DG, I'm sitting here thinking about Heineke, man. Like, what is it a QB competition? I mean, when I kind of look at Heineke and Wentz, I mean, hey, look at us. I don't see a difference for real. I mean, is there a chance Heineke is the starting quarterback next year?
I mean, I don't see why not because it's not like the Commanders didn't give up a lot. They didn't. I think they gave him like 2 or 3 third-round picks. They're not really. It's not like they just signed him some massive deal. Even because obviously if he was a free agent and they signed him to like a 3-year deal, well then clearly he's their quarterback. You don't sign a quarterback to put a competition up. They traded for him, so it's like okay, maybe there is a quarterback battle. But then also if you're Taylor Heineke, you look at like all right, well obviously they don't believe in me. So he can either take it and put a chip on his shoulder and come out and try to take the job, or it's like, you know what, hey, the hell with y'all, get me out of here. And, we'll see. Because, I mean, I know there's a lot of teams this year that need quarterbacks, and there's a lot of teams that could use a veteran quarterback, I guess you'd say, instead of taking a flyer on one of these guys in the first round. I mean, man, this quarterback class is suspect at best. I mean, with Malik Willis, I mean, nothing against Malik Willis. I think Malik Willis has the potential to be really good. But, man, when that's your best quarterback in the draft is a dude that play at Liberty, then that just shows the quarterback class is not as strong as it normally is. Now, granted, I think it's tough to follow last year's class of quarterbacks. Last year's class of quarterbacks was top tier. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, everybody known by him for the last 6 years. Zach Wilson obviously came out of nowhere and did his thing. Mac Jones comes out of nowhere and does his thing in Alabama and then does really well for the Patriots. I mean, you had 3 starting quarterbacks in last year's draft, whereas this year, the only way any of these guys start is if they go to a team who's just absolutely terrible and they're trying to just, hey, you're the guy. We're going to start working with you now. That way we don't have to try to build. That way 3 years from now, if we realize, hey, you do stuff too, we'll just draft another guy.
Yeah. Talking about the NFL draft and the quarterbacks coming up, man, I want to do an episode. I want to get you and D-Lane on here, and we do like a maybe a mock draft type episode. We talk about the position players, like quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Go all around the yard, man, and really get in depth into it and see where where everybody might go. DG, you were just talking about teams needing a veteran quarterback. And that could step in and probably make them a absolute contender. and I look at the trade that just happened, and it was sending Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. All right. How do you feel about it? And with everything that Denver sent back, who won this trade, DG?
Oh man, I think you for sure gotta say. I mean, the Broncos won the trade. I mean, like, sure, 5, 10 years, 5, 10 years from now, when in hindsight's 2020, we might look back and say, "Oh man, actually, the Seahawks won the trade." Like, maybe
Mhm.
Drew Lock. This is what Drew Lock needed. Maybe Drew Lock needed that change of scenery. Uh, maybe that's what he needed to get away from Denver, where he was supposed to be the guy. Had a few good games, struggled here and there, got hurt. Teddy Bridgewater comes in. Now it's not his team anymore. Now he's go somewhere.
Mhm.
Everybody says Pete Carroll is, the god of coaching. Go up to Pete Carroll.
Mhm.
You're automatically going. You already got probably a top 5 receiver on your team day one.
Yep.
So you got an elite ball catcher already. Not that, I mean, I think the Broncos had a few decent, pretty good players, but I don't know. None of their wide receivers are on the level of DK Metcalf, and so it's like,
Yeah.
sure, 5 years from now, it might look like the Seattle Seahawks won the trade, but if you look at it right now, I mean, the Broncos.
Mhm.
Literally, everybody was talking about, hey, if the Broncos get Aaron Rodgers, the Broncos automatically got to become the Super Bowl favorites, or at least one of the top two
Yeah.
or three teams, because they already have a great defense, and they have playmakers, and all you need is a guy who can give them the ball. So, I mean, you go get a Super Bowl MVP, you go get a Super Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl champion quarterback. I think you for sure. And if you think back, when the Seahawks got to the Super Bowl both times, they had elite defenses. So you give Russell Wilson a team with an elite defense where he ain't got to go out and score 45 points a game like he's had to do the last few years. Let him just let him be Russell. Don't have to where he doesn't have to be
No doubt.
crazy all the time. Like, I remember last year I was like, oh, Russell Wilson for MVP. I was like, the only reason Russell Wilson's even in the conversation for MVP is because he's running around like with a freaking like a chicken with his head cut off, going crazy,
No
making
doubt.
crazy throws and crazy plays because his offensive line wasn't great. His defense wasn't that good. So he's having to make all these fantastic plays and scoring 35, 40, 42 points a game somewhere in that area to even keep his team in the game. So um, I think if you look at today right now, the Broncos definitely won the trade.
Yeah, that's excuse me. That's the way I'm looking at it, man. Um, you know, nobody can predict the future, DG. So you don't know what those draft picks are going to turn out. I had a couple people hit me on Twitter and were like, because I voted. I commented underneath the poll and said, "Hey, the Broncos won the trade. They're playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders. There's still a lot to play out, but as soon as the trade hit, you immediately put the Broncos in the playoffs.
I don't know, man.
Um,
That's maybe.
I know it's tough. I know it's tough because you look at the quarterbacks. You got Mahomes, you got Carr, you
Okay,
got
but let's just
now,
think about
and
this. You naming quarterbacks just in his division. Real quick, off the top of your head, think about the AFC quarterbacks. Let's rank. Let's rank the AFC quarterbacks, and let's see where Russell Wilson falls on that list.
man, you got Josh Allen.
Patrick
I
Mahomes,
mean, man,
Joey B.
who's 1 and 2 out of that? Because I don't.
I think
I
Josh
mean,
Allen, man. I'm a lot of people might give me some flack on this one, man, but dude, I think Josh Allen is. I'm not saying head and shoulders are better, but I think Josh Allen's better than Patrick Mahomes. I think they're so.
I I agree. I agree. So I'm. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
I
ahead,
mean,
man.
dude, if you watch that game against them, the Chiefs, man, like, yes, Patrick Mahomes made some great throws and some big time plays, but it's like, to me, it seems like there's times where where Patrick Mahomes is literally just like, you know what, hey, I got a dude that runs a 4-1 flat, 4-1 forward. I'm gonna throw this son of a gun as far as I can, and he's gonna make a play.
Mhm.
Or I got the best tight end in the league. I'm just throw it up. Man, Josh Allen's got Stephon Diggs and then a bunch of other just role guys. He don't have another elite player out there, so it's like he's having to make Batman like in the freaking playoff game. He threw 4 touchdowns to some random dude none of us had even heard of before. Like he's making plays that like big time plays and big time moments. Like and when he runs the ball, man, I think he's exactly what Cam Newton would have been if Cam Newton had never got hurt, and I think he can throw it better than Cam Newton.
Yeah.
So
No doubt.
if you ask me, man, if I don't even know what number we stop at, but let's just say top 8 quarterbacks in the AFC, man, I'd say you got to go Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joey B, Justin Herbert.
That's what I was gonna.
Justin Herbert, and then you say maybe Lamar Jackson. Then Russell Wilson. I mean, is it then Russell Wilson
Yeah.
6?
Because I mean, Deshaun Watson's not
That's what I'm saying. If
available
Deshaun,
right now.
what if Deshaun Watson's available? Deshaun Watson automatically bumps to probably 4th, maybe even 3rd. And then it's like, all right, last year,
Right.
Mac Jones. I know we're both not big Alabama fans, but Mac Jones is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
2 years from now, we never know. Trevor Lawrence is an elite quarterback. He just is on a trash team. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy how good they is. Derek Carr is no scrub. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy, man. The just looking at the AFC's QBs, like
yes, man.
just
That's why
I can't really
anybody
look
who thought Aaron Rodgers was going to leave the NFC had to be a fool. Like, why would you leave the NFC to go play for the Steelers, the Broncos, or the Titans when you stay in Green Bay? You're cakewalking to the NFC North title because the NFC North is terrible. And then
Yeah.
you shouldn't lose. The fact that they didn't make the Super Bowl. I mean, I guess maybe the Rams, like them and the Rams are so much better than everybody else in the NFC. Like if you're going into next year,
Yeah.
that like they might as well just cancel the season for everybody else and say, hey, look, y'all just go ahead and play. We'll let y'all play a 7-game series like in baseball playoffs or something. Hey, whoever wins 4 first, you get to go to the Super Bowl, and then we'll let all the people in the AFC just fight it out because the AFC, the fact that we can only have 7 teams from the AFC make the playoffs next year is insane. Because if you look at it, all 4 teams. Literally, all 4 teams from the AFC West can make the playoffs.
Well, look at what just happened this past season and how the Raiders made the playoffs over the Chargers, bro. It was win or go home, or if they tied, they would have both went. And they were thinking about just kneeling the clock out, and they both go. And then the Raiders went in to the Bengals, and they played the Bengals. They went down on 4th down on the final possession.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how deep the AFC is, man. I mean, it's crazy. And I didn't really think about it like that,
Dude,
man.
and what's crazy is we forgot about the team who won the AFC, who was the AFC regular season champions, the Titans. Like,
yeah,
the Titans are freaking like. I mean, Ryan Tannehill is not a scrub. I mean, he's not great, but he's not terrible. Like,
Ryan Tannehill is never going to lead the Titans to the promised land, DG, and that's just how I feel. I think that they have to move on. Because I think they're too talented, man, and they're being held back. Tannehill lost them that Bengals game. He lost it, and I just don't think that they are ever going to get to the Super Bowl, bro. They are a regular season team. I always say this, man. I always say you have regular season teams, and then you have playoff teams. All right. And I say it in every sport, man. You have teams that are great in the regular season, but then they're super mediocre in the playoffs. And Ryan Tannehill he screams mediocre in playoffs to me. Yeah. He screams it.
Yeah.
And I get flack from D Lane all the time, but another person that screams mediocre in the playoffs to me, and y'all don't get mad at me, but Lamar Jackson. I hate it. I really like watching him play, but he screams mediocre to me in the playoffs. And I'm not sure the Ravens ever get it done with him at QB. And honestly, history, if you look at it, guys like him don't win a whole lot of Super Bowls. So I don't know. Those are my 2 teams that I just, they ball out in the regular season, and then when it gets crunch time, I just look at mediocre.
Look at the Cowboys, man. Look at the Cowboys.
Yeah, in the NFC, go to the NFC Cowboys, man. I mean, hey, just run the clock out, Dak. How about that? Just run it out, I mean, they're just look, the Cowboys, in my opinion, with Bobby, wasn't Bobby Wagner released too from the Seahawks?
Gee, I have no idea, dude.
Bro, I think he got released. I'm pretty positive. I'm pretty positive he got released, bro. And if he got released, Dallas needs to go get him immediately.
Seahawks releasing Bobby Wagner.
Bro, the Cowboys need to go get him. And I'll tell you another thing, in my opinion, that holds the Cowboys back. And DG, it held Aaron Rodgers back for so long, in my opinion. Who do you think I'm talking about?
My man Mike McCarthy.
Trash, bro. Get him out. Get him out. Terrible. He ain't got what it takes. I don't like him.
Nope.
I don't like him at all. I don't get the vibes of him being like a solidified winner in the
Man, he
NFL.
looks like
Like,
on the sidelines. If you watch games, like he looks like he's like could care less. Like it's like he's like just there,
yeah,
happy to collect the paycheck. Hey, if we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. Like it's all right.
I'm just not a fan of him, man. I'm really not. And I don't know. I just think that I think they have to go get a coach, man. I think Dallas has to go get a coach, and they got to fix that. They got to fix that front seven for real. That's why I'm saying they need to go get Bobby Wagner. But man, I mean, a lot of stuff has went down in the NFL, and I love that little combo right there, man. That little piece on all that. I mean, we really got in depth on all those QBs and the AFC versus the NFC. And you really think about it, man. The AFC is just how deep it is. And I know you had the Rams dominate. You know, they really kind of dominated through the playoffs and got in the Super Bowl with that defense. I mean, they just made the right moves at the right time, going and getting Von Miller and Odell Beckham Jr.
Yep.
Man, I think next year the NFL is going to be absolutely stacked, bro. I think it is going to be one hell of a season,
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait for this draft, man. I really want to hop on and do a little segment about the draft coming up and where these guys. You know, we watched the combine and Jordan Davis running a 4.78. I mean, how freaky was that? But
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of talent in there. A lot of talent in there. Just maybe not a lot of QB talent, but I'd love to get on here and talk about it. One thing I want to get at you, you know, hey, we play golf. Me and DG play golf. We want to talk a little bit about the players coming up here, man. The PGA Tour really get back into the swing of things. I want to ask you, DG, who is your one guy that isn't getting a whole lot of love right now? Who is your one guy to win it? The players. Who is your one guy to win it? It's at TPC Sawgrass, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, every year, man. This is a lot of people say this is like the fifth major. Like the purse for this week,
Yeah.
the winner wins like $3.5 million.
Hmm.
If you come in 36, like all you gotta do is make the cut. If you make the cut, you can the least you can go home with is 46K. So think about it, man. You play golf for 4 days, and you come in literally you're the last person on Sunday. You're the first person to tee off, first person to be done. You finish in tee 36. Guess what? You get they write you a check for $46,000. You go on to the next tournament and say, hey, you know what, man? What my week last week? I brought in 46K. So
that's what I'm making a year, DG.
That's what I'm saying,
making
man.
a year.
We working every day for that kind of money. Like these dudes do it in 4 days, and that's their bad weeks. That's the bad week. Like, but as far as like, I guess you say a dark horse.
Yeah.
Man, honestly, dude, like somebody I feel like not getting a lot of love right now. And when he does get love, golf is one of the top things to watch. He is probably outside of Tiger Woods, one of the biggest names in golf, biggest needle pushers. Like if he's playing, the needle's being moved, man. I think underdog pick. He's 50-1 odds to win, which obviously golf odds are a little different because only one person can win, so picking that's kind of tough. But 50-1 odds, man. I think Jordan Spieth. Spieth. He's been playing well. He has his weeks where he'll shoot real low on Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday. Then he'll have one bad round weekend, or Thursday he'll come out and shoot +4, and then the rest of the weekend he balls out. But he puts himself in such a big hole on Thursday he can't keep up. So if you're going to say a dark horse is not getting a lot of love, a lot of talk right now, I'd say I like Jordan Spieth, man. I think Jordan Spieth has a good chance to win it this week. If not win it, at least finish top 10. He's never won the Players before, but he's been in contention a few times. I like Jordan Spieth, man. I'm a big Jordan Spieth fan. He's fun to watch because he played.
Yeah.
He not that obviously none of us are neither one of us or DG or D Lane or anywhere near as good as any of the guys that ever played on the PGA Tour. But watching Jordan Spieth, I kind of like watching us. He hits the ball in the trees and the woods. off the cart path. He's rolling down a cart path. He's way behind,
Yep.
like he's tucked back behind some bushes, and all of a sudden he's 2 feet for birdie. So as far as the shanking his drives left and right, we're used to that. We can relate to that shot. But then, I know when I go outside, I know I go play golf, man. I'm up in the trees. I'm like, man, what would Jordan Spieth do here? It's like I know I damn sure ain't gonna do it, but it'd be pretty cool if I did. So
Yeah.
Jordan, like I said, man, he's a guy who pushes the needle. So I mean, anybody who watches golf and enjoys golf, Jordan Spieth's a big fan favorite. So give me Jordan Spieth as my dark horse this week.
I got you, man. Hey, DG, I gotta run, man. I gotta go do this this live chat on this Rave on Sports, man. They just hit me up and said, hey, get your tail in here. So man, I've had a great episode. I enjoyed it. We're gonna have to hop back on here, man. What you say?
Absolutely, dude. Sounds good, man. Next time we get on, we'll have to talk a little hockey with D-Lane.
Yeah, man. Can't wait, man. Enjoyed it tonight. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely, bro.
All right, man.